So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm back. That's right, Andrew is back with another video. Last night, we were brought back to normalcy. As wrestling fans, we have been given 2 months of soap opera crap, soap opera garbage. We've been given 2 months of people fake glazing over the WWE PLEs, thinking that they're the best ever. In January, you have 30-year-old, 40-year-old idiots chanting yeet continuously. Elimination Chamber, those same 30-year-olds are like, oh my God, John Cena turned heel? This is the greatest thing that ever happened in the history of pro wrestling. This is even bigger than Hogan joining the NWO. Cinema. Are you sick and tired? I mean, listen, if you are a real wrestling fan, and I'm not talking about those fake ass bedheads out there who all they watch is WWE and nothing else. If you are a guy or a girl or a kid or a chicken who actually watches AEW, New Japan, TNA, Evolved, Rev Pro, all of those, you noticed that for the past 2 months, he had been given nothing but pure garbage. As a matter of fact, in those 2 pay-per-views alone, the only match that was even worth a damn involved the same damn guy, and that is Kevin Owens. Tell me if I'm spitting lies around here, all right? The Royal Rumble was boring with the exception of a few notable people who came in. Elimination Chamber was boring. It was. Listen, if it wasn't for Jade Cargill attacking Naomi, that women's match would have been If it wasn't for John Cena turning heel, that whole men's Elimination Chamber match would have been There's nothing. You really honestly think that all you really need is The Rock and John Cena and that's it, you're good? This is what wrestling means to you? Wrestling is garbage right now because you're being fed this crap that theater and cinema and soap operas and Naomi crying and Bianca, all this bullshit is what wrestling is supposed to be. No. You know what wrestling is? Violence. You know what wrestling is? Physicality. You know what wrestling is? Hatred. It's about all those thousands of people going nuts and rowdy like a bunch of sickos. That's what pro wrestling is. JD from New York, and I don't even care if he singles me out. Yeah, I don't have viewers. I don't have people. I don't give a shit. He's a midget freaking troll wearing an Atlanta Braves hat thinking he's a New Yorker. He ain't a damn New Yorker. I'm a real New Yorker, bro. I'm from the Bronx. Where you at from? Please. He wants to tell you that what AEW produced last night is not real wrestling. No, they want to feed you that bullshit that whatever John Cena has going on in his old ass age is what wrestling is supposed to be. Screw that. It's trash. It's ridiculous trash. Now, you know what I said this because I've been waiting for this for months. I've been waiting for this. I've been telling people over and over and over again that AEW is the best wrestling organization in the world, and I'm not glazing about it. And the fact that they're not given the recognition that they so deserve is because people like JD, people like Eric Bischoff, people like, who knows? A lot of these idiots Jim Cornette. A lot of these idiots want to shut it down. They want to put down the purity of professional wrestling as it is and want to feed us this bullshit brand crap, this publicly traded Netflix garbage. You have to watch Raw on Netflix, and then you have to watch freaking SmackDown on the USA Network, and then You have to watch a damn POE on freaking Peacock. I mean, dude, choose a lane. Take a side already. It's garbage. It's pure garbage. And I, for one, will not stand to see TK's name be dragged into the mud, to see AEW's name being dragged in the mud. I will say this, though. Despite how much I loved watching Revolution last night, there have been some moments where they were very cringy for me, and I'm hoping that it will come to a complete stop. And we'll talk about that. We'll talk all about that. So, let's really talk about this here, right? AEW Revolution. It took place at the Crypto.com Arena, formerly known as the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, the home of the Lakers. And it was a sellout crowd, man. It was a huge, huge crowd. Around 12,000 screaming, sicko AEW fans and Hollywood elite alike were there watching the best in pay-per-view. Because let's face it, AEW is the king of pay-per-view. All right? The WWE is not the king of pay-per-views. They are premium licensing. They are a premium live event. That's what they want to call themselves. They're not wrestling. They're sports entertainment. Let me tell you this. There have been some matches from Revolution that I extremely like, and there are matches from Revolution that was like subpar at best, but it didn't take away from the beauty, which is Revolution. And I suggest that anybody who didn't watch it, please find a way to watch it. First off, I got a shout out to AEW and Tony Khan for signing that deal with Amazon Prime. It was my first time ever purchasing a pay-per-view event through Amazon Prime. It was about $50. I know it's pricey, but I make it an investment on their future because I can. And I had no streaming issues whatsoever. Everything was running as smooth as possible. I feel bad for the people who are still watching it on Thriller or whatever website they're trying to look it on and having to deal with the buffering issues or whatever else they have there. But Amazon Prime is legit, people. It is 100% legit, and I hope that everyone else will do the same, at least until Max sets up a pay-per-view deal with AEW and we can get it at a much cheaper discounted price moving forward. But until then, Amazon Prime is your go-to for all AEW live pay-per-view events moving forward. Do not pick anything else. Period. But let's start with the first match, which is MJF versus Hangman Adam Page. These two guys, number one and number two in the company, they brought out since day one. All right. It went all the way back from to Double or Nothing in 2019 when the former eliminated the latter in the Casino Battle Royal to win the first match in AEW history. And ever since then, they just have a hatred for each other about who is better. It's like Hangman Adam Page, he can burn down houses. He can stab people with a syringe. He can be unhinged, and people love him. Meanwhile, MJF does the same thing, actually does everything good, everything better, and they hate him for it. This all lead up to this. And I thought it was a great match for the opener. One sick thing that MJF did is like he was running through the ropes. And then instead of just like, doing a simple drop kick to Hangman Page or whatever, he put his nuts to his face. You put your nuts to his face? Man, you're a disgusting freak. MJF, don't do that. Don't diddy him. Don't diddy Hangman Page. There was another spot in which they went back and forth outside the ring. There was a chair there. And MJF basically drove Hangman Page a tombstone piledriver right on top of the chair. That was a brutal spot. But either way, the action was meshing between the two was great. Hangman Page defeated MJF. I thought it was really good. MJF really, I mean, I thought it was really good. So I get it. It's a great opener. It was a great start to the match. People were hot for it. I was happy about that. I was really happy about that. Now, the next match was Momo Watanabe versus Mercedes Moné. Now, I'm going to understand something, right? When you go from a hot match like MJF versus Heyman Page, this is considered, at least in terms of the first half of the match, the bathroom break. I didn't, it just felt boring at times, but somehow as the match went on, it just kind of picked up speed, you know? I mean, especially when there was a huge kick by Watanabe that kicked Mercedes Moné right into the teeth, basically. You know that she was a little bit, knocked silly after that kick. A little bit knocked silly after that. I mean, it was a pretty match, to say the least. There were some few spots that felt disjointed at times, like they weren't on the same page, if you want to say. But however, they at the near end of the match, at the second half, they managed to recover nicely. And they got the audience really going with the near falls, and they were really thinking about, Momo actually winning, But here's the thing that I want to address, the elephant in the room, and they didn't even mention about this, was Billie Starkz. And don't worry if none of you have any idea, who she is. She is a wrestler from ROH, and she is the protege for Athena. She was out there taking notes while she was watching the match, which means we're going to get a potential Mercedes Moné versus Athena match going very, very soon. And I say this right now, it is March the 10th. I guarantee you by the time July the 12th comes in and AEW has their huge stadium event at Globe Light Stadium in Texas, all in Texas, it's going to be at least a semi-main event right there. Mercedes Moné versus Athena. It's going to happen, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be one of the biggest fights in women's wrestling history between those two. We're definitely going to be talking about more of this as the months continue on ahead. The next match, Swerve Strickland versus Ricochet. And then can I say something here? There are a lot of Fed heads out there who have been, chomping at the bit about our AEW stars and how they're so mismanaged by the company. And, as soon as they go to WWE, they go to bigger and brighter things. Where's Lexis King? Trash. Where's Ricky Saints? Trash. I'm sorry. He's trash. Trash. The jury is still out on Jade Cargill. She's going to have her first ever singles match at WrestleMania. So it's going to be interesting to see how she fares now that the training wheels are off. Cody Rhodes has always been a WWE guy. But the fact of the matter is that when it comes to Ricochet, they didn't know what to do with him. He was just a high flyer act that can use for filler matches. They never put him in a prominent role. They never even put him for a championship opportunity. He was just there. They didn't even allow him to speak, and most of the time he's out there doing catering. Fast forward to last night, going up against Swerve Strickland. Huge money-making performance by Ricochet. He come in as the sniveling, slimy heel that he is, basically. And the whole match itself was really involving the robe that Prince Nana was given by Jimmy Rave, the late Jimmy Rave. You don't need to know who he is. I don't know who he is. But it doesn't really matter. The fact of the matter is that this whole thing was about Swerve Strickland getting back into the scene again, getting his revenge on Ricochet, bringing back the robe that Prince Nana has bestowed upon him. And they did just that. It was a great back and forth match. It was fun. It was amazing. And I gotta tell you this, Leslie Jones, right? Leslie Jones from SNL, the comedian Leslie Jones. I want to ask Leslie Jones a question, if she's even listening to this podcast. She's probably not. But let's just pretend that she is. I'm going to ask her this question. Do you have money riding on this match? Because you was really going in on Ricochet. Like you really just want to go inside the ring and beat the living shit out of him. I've never seen Leslie Jones so heated in watching a wrestling match before. And shout out for Ricochet from egging her on it. But it was like the camera was always on her, just going completely batshit crazy throughout the entire match. It's like I think she put down like $1 million on that match for some reason. I don't know what it is, but God bless her. You know, God bless Leslie Jones. She got in. Her, Kim Jong, he was there. He was enjoying the whole entire matchup too. I mean, it was hot, man. It was a hot night in LA, and you know, the character work, everything was building up. It was amazing. Swerve Strickland won the match. Prince Nana, he got back his robe. It was a nice feel-good moment. Everyone left home happy. That's about it. That's all I'm going to say about it. It was a great match. Huge takeaway from it. You know, you got to love that. You know? The next match was Okada versus Brody King. And again, this was like a down type of match. Not to take anything away from Okada, but the theme of the night is every time there was like a marquee match, it was all the way up high. There apparently was a match that was kind of like low, more of a bathroom break and whatever. Not to take away from anything of Okada, but I just felt that the match was like, the styles didn't really clash. It was like he was just going up against a big guy, and I know he was trying to do it best. I did enjoy the lariat reversal from Brody King when Okada was trying to set up for the Rainmaker, and then Brody King came in with a huge lariat. But you know, after that, you know, Okada won, and that's basically it. Now, keep in mind here, Okada is the Continental Champion. Okada is the AEW Continental Champion. Why did I say this? We'll get to that a little bit later. The next match is the World Tag Team Championship, the Hurt Syndicate versus the Outrunners. Now, let me be real with you for a second here, ladies and gentlemen. Right? If the Outrunners was facing a team like, say, the Young Bucks for the title, or like the Acclaimed for the title, or any other team other than the Hurt Syndicate for the AEW tag team titles, I would have been more invested in them. I feel that they have a great rapport with the fans. I feel that they have a bright future ahead of them. They're a parody act of your favorite 80s tag team, basically. The problem is you're facing Bobby Lashley, you're facing Shelton Benjamin, you're dealing with professionals, and professionals are not going to lose titles to a parody of an 80s tag team wrestling team. They're not. All right? And I feel that the Hurt Syndicate have given them too much of a competition. They should have just wiped the floor off of the Outrunners. It should have been a brutal beatdown. It won't take anything away from their aura. It's just the fact that the Hurt Syndicate is just too damn good. Which begs the question, Who's going to beat them? You basically have the hottest tag team acts in AEW. And I honestly, truly believe that the Young Bucks beating them will not be believable. It will be bullshit. Maybe a tag team of Brody Keane and Buddy Murphy. Now that could be a great matchup. That could be something that I can actually sink my teeth into. But aside from all of that, you know, when it comes to that tag team match last night, they should have just decimated the Outrunners and just ended right here. Oh, I am very happy seeing the Hurt Syndicate there because I can get to sing, "We heard people, we heard people." And if you don't, you got to listen to the Hurt Syndicate theme song. It is so catchy. It is so good. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. It's amazing. It's good. Thank you. If you made it this far without changing the channel versus like, subscribe, comment, I want to thank you because it's like what I said for the past few matches. It's like I was forcing my rambling on and on, right? Those matches were okay, right? That wasn't fantastic. They were just okay, you know? I enjoyed it. But the following 3 matches are the reasons that you need to watch Revolution. If anything else, these 3 matches, to me, these are the ultimate 3 of the main events. And it's very rare that you see a premium line of events or a pay-per-view for that matter to have 3 matches back to back to back that are just absolute bangers. That is like must-see television. I'm going to start out with the Hollywood ending. This is going to be the most talked about match of the week. Hell, this is going to be the most talked about match of the year. Timeless Toni Storm versus Mariah May. A match that should have closed the damn show. They should have closed the damn show instead of the abysmal main event that we actually got. More on that later. Coming into the match, they were 1-1. Toni Storm 1-1. Mariah May 1-1. This is the rubber match. This is the ending of their year-long storyline. And this is a Hollywood ending in the City of Angels. And man, oh man, they delivered to the brim. It all started enough to Mariah May going up on top of the ramp, seeing freaking Toni Storm and beating the living hell out of each other. And then a taser was involved. Both ladies were drove through tables. Broken champagne bottles were involved. There were pile drivers on top of steel steps. You had Toni Storm's face completely covered in blood. I mean, she did the worst blade job that I have ever expected from any wrestler. She did an Eddie Guerrero paint job. Yeah, I guess that's what we're going to call it. An Eddie Guerrero paint job. She was bloodied from ear to ear. It was almost disturbing at times because it's one thing to have the men have a crimson mask and completely bloodied, and it's like you have all the gobs of blood flowing over the ring. It's a completely different animal when it's involving beautiful women. But they don't care. They don't care. Oh, and I love this bit. So there was a bit in which Toni Storm, she got the buckets of glass, right? Mariah May have her own bucket of glass. She took a piece of tape, wrapped it around her hands, same for Mariah May, and then dipped their hands into the glass, and they had a good old-fashioned Taipei style glass fist deathmatch type of thing. And Toni Storm punched her in the titty. with the glass. That shit is crazy. That's absolutely crazy. And then they fought again right up to the ramp, and then they crashed through to the table that says a Hollywood ending. And Toni Storm pinned her 1, 2, 3, and then all you just see is just a mass of violence and brutality and glass, and my God, it was disturbing. It was uncomfortable at times, but man, it was amazing. It was awesome, and it just shows me something. AEW women are the toughest women in professional wrestling. Come at me, bro. Rhea Ripley, I think she's a tough cookie. They will never allow her to bleed as much as these women bled in the ring. And maybe Triple H, and trust me, if Triple H decides to allow women to bleed during their pay-per-view matches, you know he's only doing this because Tony Khan thought of it first. That is the truth. It was truly one of the most amazing matches that I ever seen, men or women. And it's definitely another match of the year candidate. It's amazing. Every match of the year is involving AEW or New Japan. Where's WWE at? Kevin Owens is fighting his ass off trying to get onto that list. And nothing. You gotta watch the Hollywood ending match. Unless you're squeamish for blood, then I suggest you don't. But if you're a sicko like me, you definitely need to watch it. It is worth every single penny. I don't care what anyone else says. Anyone else who tells you, oh, this is not wrestling, it's too violent and disgusting. Yeah, they're beta males, all right? They're pussies. They're weak. They're not the type of people, they're not the type of men that real women should date. Let's just be honest with ourselves here. All right. And then the next match, Kenny Omega versus Konosuke Takeshita. And he made his return. Kenny Omega made his return to an AEW pay-per-view for the first time since 2023. For those who don't know, he was suffering from diverticulitis. I think I botched that, but basically it is a stomach disease in which they have to take 2 feet of intestines off of Kenny Omega's stomach. And it played a huge part in this entire match, right? Now, he had to face a guy, Takeshita, a man that he has known since they were teenagers, wrestling in the dojos and everything like that. And now he has grown up to become the next big thing. He's basically the Japanese Brock Lesnar. That's all I'm saying. He's built up to being like the Japanese Brock Lesnar in a way. And then the fight was it was back and forth. It was a great wrestling match completely. I mean, there were so many spots. There were so many moves that came out of it that you just have to watch it in order to be in awe. It was theatrical, all right? There was an aura about Kenny Omega, especially when it comes to his entrances. It's something that, I don't know, it's something you can just base out of like a hero movie or something like that. It's something that you really have to pay attention and to look at. And these two are the best in the game in terms of doing it. Anyway, Omega won the International Championship. This is his first major AEW championship that he has won in a very long time. And what the International Championship does is that he can compete against anybody, anywhere throughout the entire world. Which leads me to the question that I just mentioned earlier. You got Kenny Omega as the International Champion. You have Okada as the Continental Champion. Those two have history. Those two have feuds together. What if later on down the road this year, we may see a unification match between those two? And the winner becomes the first ever, wait for it, AEW Intercontinental Champion. What? What? You hear the Fed heads in the background? They're going off on the comments right now, saying, "Oh, now they're gonna copy WWE. They're the ones who created that. No, they can't create a more fitting title than that. They have to copy the WWE." Shut up. Just shut up. Just shut up. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care what they call it. I like the Intercontinental Championship. It makes a lot of sense. It makes more sense than the WWE calling it the Intercontinental Championship in the very beginning. You're merging the two belts together. It makes a lot of sense. Could they do it at AEW All In Texas? That's what I'm thinking was going to happen. That's what I know is going to happen. So for the modern day wrestling fan who watches everything other than WWE, hear me out here. Kenny Omega beats Okada in Texas. He becomes the new AEW Intercontinental Champion. The next month after that is Forbidden Door in London, England. Will Okada come back to face Yota Tsuji? That could be a big main match right there. That could be a big match right there. And for those who have no idea who Yota Tsuji is, why don't you just go subscribe to New Japan World and watch them yourselves? My God, just get out of your box. Get out of your WWE bubble. There are great wrestlers out there. All right, start paying attention to them. Watch their craft. You'll realize that not everything has to be about WWE. Everything is about professional wrestling. That's the importance of it. If you don't know a certain wrestler, go Google them or watch their matches. See if you like their matches. See if you like their style. I'll tell you who Yota Tsuji is. He's like a huge, tall-ass NFL linebacker that has to face a Roman Reigns with $1 million smile. You see what that looks like. And then, I don't even have any water here. And then the final match, not the final of the show, but the final match of the 3 main event stint is Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher. And one sight to behold was seeing both Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher standing on top of the cage before the bell even sounded. And it was another bloody contest. It was, it was less impactful in terms of the blood. It's like, you can only allow to have one bloody match in a pay-per-view. To have another bloody event happen in another match, it just kind of, it downplays it a bit, it just dilutes it dilutes it a bit. What we saw with Toni Storm and Mariah May was extremely shocking. What we saw with Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher was kind of expected, if that makes any type of sense around here. But it was a huge war of attrition between two men who once stood side by side as friends, only to see their union divided by the selfish aspirations of one man, which is the evil Don Callis. There was barbed wire, there were screwdrivers, there were thumbtacks, but a big moment of the night is when they were standing on top of the cage and Will Ospreay delivered a beautiful Spanish fly from on top of the cage. Both men breaking their hips and their backs in the process. And then the final piece of the matchup was a beaten and battered Kyle Fletcher just looking into the eyes of his former best friend, Will Ospreay, and telling him, "You son of a bitch. I fucking hate you. I effing hate you. F you, F you." Basically, you know, there were more F bombs in that entire pay per view than they were in Elimination Chamber. And for those asking why Cody Rhodes dropped those F bombs, it's because they wanted to be like AEW. Let's be honest with ourselves here. But anyway, Ospreay hit him with the hidden blade, which was the elbow straight to the back of the head, followed by the infamous Tiger Driver 91, which basically you just dropping him on his head. 1, 2, 3, Will Ospreay defeats Kyle Fletcher. Amazing. Amazing match. Amazing match. Those 3 matches alone is worth the price of admission. And it really drove home why AEW is the king of pay-per-views. And while we were on this high and everything was so great and so awesome, it all came crashing down to a screeching halt as soon as the main event started, and it was Jon Moxley versus Copeland. This was a bad match. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to make sense of any of it. It was a completely bad match. Straight from the crowd trying to sing Copeland's theme song, Edge's theme song. I love the LA crowd. I thought they were the most rowdiest crowd out there, but you can't sing for shit. You're not like the Australian crowd at all. The Australian crowd sung with unison, with harmony, and with passion. You guys in LA, it's like you didn't even know the words. You wanted to copy it, but yet you can't. It's a shame. You don't do that. Don't do that. But my God, it was slow. It was a plotting contest that never got into first gear. The crowd was so worn out by the 3 big matches that came before that it just felt so flat. It just felt so bad. It was so stupid. And then they try to spice things up with a referee bump, an appearance by Wheeler Yuta, Jay White making the save, introduction of the steel chairs kind of brought the crowd alive a little bit. And then Christian Cage, of all people, came in and signed the contract, making this championship match a triple threat. And then the fans, was kind of hyped about that. And they were like, oh shit, is Christian going to cash in? Is he going to be the new AEW champion? But instead, Moxley caught him in the bulldog choke. Christian tapped out, and once again, Jon Moxley is the AEW champion. And the groan from the crowd, and you could just hear it, and you know what is coming here. It has now completely ran its course. This whole Death Rider storyline has completely shit the bed. People do not like it anymore. They don't. Maybe it just kind of reminds me of Roman Reigns' title reign. It's like it got hot at first, but then it just got boring the more times he just kept on winning. And it's like, enough is enough already, And you see Jon Moxley leaving with the crowd. And this is what saved it. This is what saved it. Prince Nana came in. Prince Nana. He confronted Jon Moxley. There was a whole band of security trying to separate the two. And then you see from up top, on the top of the stairs, whatever the case may be, Swerve Strickland diving on top of Jon Moxley, beating the crap out of him, and then proclaiming himself to becoming the next AEW champion. And that's how it ends. Now, This is what I said before, right? This whole stigma of the of any major world championship being the one to close out the show, it has to stop. It has to stop. The championship doesn't have to be the end all be all to end a pay-per-view. Tony Khan had an opportunity to make something special in remembrance of Women's Month, Happy Women's Month. If he would have just, and it would have closed it out in such a beautiful way, if they would have just made the Hollywood ending match, if they would have just made the Hollywood ending match the final match on the card, you don't have anyone bleeding. I mean, hell, Alex Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, that could be a hard sell. But if they haven't bled, and you had all those matches leading up, and then Moxley and Cope was like second to last, and they shit the bed, and then you had the Hollywood ending, and it ended in that, that would have been the greatest pay-per-view of all time. The Hollywood ending, the curtains close in LA, that's how you ended. That would have been perfect. I wish I was the booker. I wish I was booked that match. Toni Storm and Mariah May had the best intriguing storyline in AEW, which is very hard to come by nowadays because I'm going to be honest with you. There are a lot of people who don't really watch AEW because they're not really into the storylines that they're building. But they were invested into this. Mariah May and Toni Storm have given us the best storyline, men or women, ever in wrestling for a very long time. It was captivating. It was deep. And you know what? I have to give these two a round of applause because they really brought women's wrestling back to the fold the way it was supposed to be. And I felt that them not getting the last match of the night, you did it wrong, TK. You did it extremely wrong. You shouldn't have done that. You should have just went outside the box here. You should have listened to what the fans were telling you. When the fans on social media, when the podcasters are telling you, make Mariah May and Toni Storm the last match of the night, make Mariah May and Toni Storm the last match of the night. Don't do that ever again. But going back into the main event, what does that do? What does it do? I'll tell you what it is. One, Tony Khan realizes it was a complete mistake to give Christian Cage even an opportunity to get the AEW championship because it doesn't make any sense. He is an old man, okay? He's in the twilight of his career, and the last thing we need is another old man, taking the company's title. By Christian Cage tapping out to Jon Moxley, it will only piss off Copeland even more, setting off a blow-off matchup between him and Christian. I predict some type of gimmick match that will take place at Dynasty in April, in which this could be the last time. Maybe it will be a retirement match. I don't know. But we're going to have to see at least Christian and Cope one last time, which is fine. Moxley is the champion. I know a lot of people are upset about that, but do not be upset for much longer because Swerve Strickland is the #1 contender. And I am hoping and praying that come Dynasty, Swerve Strickland will beat Jon Moxley, and then we gain the AEW championship, and then we move on to bigger and better things moving forward. It's about time that Jon Moxley takes a long, lengthy vacation. He has done enough already. You tried, my friend, but it's not working. It's not clicking with the fans. It's not, It's really not. You're trying hard. You're trying the best that you could, but it's just not working. And for those who are following pro wrestling, they're wondering, okay, what happened to Darby Allin? Well, originally, he was supposed to be the guy, face Jon Moxley and win it all. I hope that's not the case after Dynasty, because I don't know if the people can stand to deal with Moxley for one more month as AEW champion. Darby Allin is preparing to climb Mount Everest right now. So he's not going to be back in the AEW ring for quite some time, at least until after he completes this mission. So I guess Swerve Strickland, and you know what? I'm not hating. I love Swerve. Swerve can carry that title better than anyone else can. And that can only lead to a potential match between Swerve Strickland and MJF. Or Swerve Strickland versus Hangman Page. Oh my God. We can have those matches going. So I hope they pull the trigger on that. I hope they do that, you know? And that's about it. That's about it for Revolution. I completely enjoyed the show. The crowd in LA was hot. There was like 12,000 people. It was great to see a full arena of AEW fans again, instead of a theater or whatever the case may be. I know it's going to be sad to go back into the small ass arenas, but I'm hoping that come time they can move on to the bigger, larger arenas, and they can sell out every single Dynamite. I'm hoping for that, but for what it's worth, Revolution over-delivered, with the exception of the main event. But like I said, Toni Storm, Mariah May, Omega, Takeshita, Kyle Fletcher, Will Ospreay. Those 3 matches, you need to watch them. You must watch them. They are amazing. Amazing. Well, that was it. That was my rant. My God, it was like 47 minutes of me ranting about Revolution. This is very amazing. If you liked everything that I was talking about, if you hate everything I'm talking about, just leave yourself in the comments. But more importantly, like and subscribe to this channel. I'll be doing more videos as I see fit, whenever I feel like it. So just stay tuned for more updates. And as for right now, this is Andrew signing off, and I'll say, see you later.